This week on Wellness and Wonder, Francesca and I are in discussion with Dr. Rohit Sahoo, all about the power of manifesting your intentions. Come and join the conversation. Wellness and Wonder. Okay, welcome back to another episode of Wellness and Wonder. We have broken into the double digits. This is episode 11. And if you may not know or do know, I'm Paris Yvette.
Hello everyone, I'm Francesca D'Amico. Welcome to Wellness and Wonder with my beloved Paris. Today we're going to discuss such an important topic, manifest your intentions. And the keywords today to start this amazing interview with Rohit are manifest your intentions, as I said. Why manifesting our intentions? Because what is really magical in this life is not visible, but it is felt and it cannot be described. So the meaning of karma, for example, has a strong relation with our intentions, with today's topic. Our experience is entirely determined by us. This is what the word karma means. Karma means action. That means that when we say your life is your karma, we are saying your life is entirely your making. So what happens in the world is that there are many, many forces involved, and what happens within us is 100% us. So we look inwards to reflect our desires and right intentions. Let's remember that true happiness won't come if we focus too intently on what other things or on what we should be doing. So we cannot really connect with others and with our own self if we continue comparing us all the time with other things and other people. So this has to change, and that's why we have brought you here, Rohit, who is a master in this and is a spiritual guide, and you will love his story and philosophy of life.
Thanks so much, Francesca and Paris, for setting the context and tone for this very important session on manifestation. And I was quite animated by how beautifully you really described how each one of us has a seed of purpose and potential to manifest anything which we desire. But often due to our actions from a place in space and time, which is in a past life and even in a current life, which bears its fruits in our present circumstances. And often we ask ourselves, what have I done to deserve this? But everything which orchestrates around a life eventually can be traced down to our own actions, either in this life or our previous lifetimes, which apparently underpins all Eastern spiritual traditions, from Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. Every strand of Eastern religion and spiritual traditions has at its core the law of karma. And that really essentially informs, guides, I would say, more than half of this entire global population. Practicing Buddhist, Hindus, and from the Eastern spiritual traditions, I imagine is around 3 to 4 billion. And not to say that many in the Western world are also, even though they might have grown in a Christian or Abrahamic religious background, but they, through their own personal experiences, they have been drawn into believing that law of karma is true, law of karma exists. And everything which we do can be essentially traced down to our own actions. And it's a very broad topic. It's a very esoteric, very profound topic. I like to keep it very informative and yet very simple, so that the listeners can really, as a takeaway from this session, can really understand that how law of karma operates in their life, how can they exercise certain spiritual principles to manifest what they want, and how can they break free from the vicious cycle of karma, which is the key impediment for many of us who usually don't get to manifest what they want.
It's wonderful. I actually, just like you said before, so many people are influenced by the Eastern spirituality. I started as a Christian, but spirituality took over, and to the point where I found Taoism, and you understand that law of karma. And I joke all the time, if I flick a bush, I'll trip up instantly. I think the more spiritual you get, you gain such a level of karma. Would you agree?
No, absolutely. And I don't want to be controversial here, but in the mystical tradition of Christianity, which is understood as Gnosticism, you can draw parallels between the underlying ethos and the underlying tenets of Gnosticism with many tenets of Eastern spirituality. Often where even in the Eastern world, where many of the Eastern spiritual practitioners, the religious practitioners, where they also get it wrong is they intend to interpret the scriptures quite literally. Much of what is being condensed in our scriptures and religious books have been conveyed esoterically, very abstractly. There is a reason behind that, because it's a spiritual treasure which has to be earned through your own personal experience, and it's a guide. Where all of us get it wrong, most of us get it wrong, is they interpret it literally, and that's something where everything falls apart.
What's your experience, Rohit? How did you become so spiritual? How did you find your purpose in life? Which was the moment or the experience that brought you here?
It was quite an intense experience, if I may say so. About 2009, it was about a time when I had just enrolled myself in one of the most prestigious business schools of India. And it's actually ranked the top 20 globally. And it was, I was supposed to be very happy. I was supposed to be over the moon at having gained myself admission into one of the best B schools of the world. And I should have been happy. But probably 2 months into my stint in my B school, while I was pursuing my MBA, I had a strange existential crisis, a strange melancholic existential nihilism, if that's the right word to put it, took over me. I somehow started experiencing, what's the purpose of life? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Does it make sense? So it was strange. It was kind of not suicidal, but it was very nihilistic. I was losing hope, and I didn't have any resort. And I grew up in a very religious, orthodox family. They were not spiritual. I had no background. I had no sense of understanding into spirituality. But all I knew that I had to seek some intervention from the universe to extricate myself out of this nihilistic abyss or darkness which was devouring me. So I started praying. I just didn't know anything. I started praying every day, and I started praying to the universe, save me, because it's I'm drowning in darkness to a point that I might not even know whether I would be able to muster the hope to live to that point. And trust me, in about few weeks, a miracle happened in my life. I woke up one day and I somehow felt that I had been reborn. Few people sprung up in my life. They literally took me out of that darkness, and I somehow intimately knew that it has been orchestrated by the divine, by the universe, in answers to my prayer. And very serendipitously and synchronistically, just about that time, I stumbled upon Buddha. I stumbled upon spiritual masters in the Eastern traditions, from Vivekananda, from Gautam Buddha, Raman Maharishi, and I started reading about it, and I just simply felt that being pushed and pulled towards spirituality by an unknown, invisible force, and I've never, and there's no looking back since. And it was about a time I also deliberately chose Gautam Buddha and Buddhism as the topic of my research as part of my final project presentation in my MBA. So I had an option to choose an elective in my last semester, and I chose an elective of culture and creativity, in which I chose Buddhism as my research topic. And I had quite incredible synchronistic experiences then. It's beyond the ambit of this discussion because it's quite, it has its own storyline and a lot of context to it. But yeah, that precipitated my journey. It was 2009.
Having that path, what then inspired you to take it into your profession now? So what said to you, okay, this is the way we're going, Rohit? Talk about that journey.
Yeah, so it hasn't been a smooth ride, because it hasn't, yes, I set out on my spiritual journey in 2009, but post my graduation, I started doing, working as a sales consultant, a management consultant,
Rohit, so basically you set your intentions, continuing your studies and acting on your intentions, which came
Yes,
from this experience.
yes,
So
yes.
this is about having the intention, the purpose. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I will explain because I will come to the manifestation piece here because it's all ties in together. So in 2009, as I said, I embarked upon my spiritual journey. That event, that experience led me into spirituality. And the journey through its twists and turns eventually led me to a point about 3 years ago when I had hit rock bottom in my life. Not from the existential, not solely from my personal sphere, but every dimension in my life, I had literally hit rock bottom, be it financially, be it in my career, be it personally, be it emotionally, be it spiritually. I had literally had rock bottom. And just to give you, just to let you know, uh, I was reeling from about $40,000 of debt. I had started receiving notices from banks to my parents back home in India, saying that if I don't, start repaying my installments, credit installments, I might get a legal notice. Third,
Yeah.
I had literally no job, no finances, and I was nursing a very shattered heart. It was absolutely the lowest phase of my life. And trust me, I have literally exercised the principles of manifestation when I had literally nothing to grasp onto. In fact, I even stayed for 2 days on the beach because I didn't have any way to stay. And I had literally in that time set an intention for myself that in the next few years, I want to see myself in this position, doing this, you know, enjoying my abundance and doing this,
Yeah.
and whatever needs to be done has to be done. And it has been an amazing journey. It has been simply incredible how things have come together, how the universe has orchestrated circumstances and has sent guides in the guise of
Yeah.
my living master and people who have supported me. And I've been intimately experiencing being pulled towards that vision. Yes, I'm an actor, but
Yeah.
there's a force which is pushing me.
How can we locate and acknowledge which fantasies stand in the way of our truth? Because as you say, imagination is very powerful. Would you say that all the things you were attracting were manifesting because of your intentions or also
Yes,
because of your imagination?
absolutely. Absolutely. And it fundamentally plays into modern science as well. Usually, when you say to people that you create what you imagine, they usually tend to debunk it as a wishful thinking. But it's actually not wishful thinking. Everything which everyone perceives in their ambit of experience is a function of their imagination. What is an imagination? Imagination is is your ability to exercise your mind and your senses to perceive your life as you experience. So that experience owes its validity and substance to your ability to experience, to imagine it. If your imagination is stripped off from your physical
Yeah.
senses, then that reality would not exist. It will be rendered not. So that phenomenon is validated by science called the observer effect. And this has been echoed by all even ancient spiritual mystical masters and traditions. In Upanishads, one of the greatest Indian spiritual treatise, the Hindu treatise, it's mentioned that you think what you become. Your reality is a function of your consciousness. There's a quotation which is attributed to Gautam Buddha. You think what you become. Everything is essentially traced down to your thought, but where people get it wrong, they take it literally. They start thinking, okay, I want this, but it doesn't manifest. Then they eventually become very skeptical that is it true? But there's a science behind it, how you manifest it.
Same thing we say is everything is energy, and I think a lot of people underestimate that the energy put in is the energy you're going to receive. And
Absolutely.
they say often when we manifest, when we want to attract, and when we set our intention, when we say I would like, a lot of people don't believe that enough. So they
Yes,
often say that when we look in the mirror, we have to say, you will receive. This is your position, this is your life, because that brain gets in the way, doesn't it?
oh, absolutely. And thank you, Paris, for touching upon this very important dimension, and you couldn't have said it any better. And how I look at it is there's a distinction between what you want and what you subconsciously expect. I might want the entire world, but I might expect something which is not even a fraction of what my wants are. So my wants is a function of my desires. However, my expectations are a function of my subconscious beliefs. And the universe will only echo and answer my beliefs. It's not obligated and liable to answer my wants.
So true.
So that's how in science how it operates. That we need to cultivate that receptivity to be able to allow the universe to function through us to manifest what we want. Where we get it wrong, the more we get tethered and stuck in our lower vibrational human existence, we are more in the trap of the karma. And the karma literally holds us in a vicious loop because we always are on a hamster wheel of fulfilling our karmic debts, which is from our actions in the past. And usually that doesn't allow us to break free because we are always stuck in that loop. How you break free and manifest what you want in certain intention, which eventually registers itself in the infinite field of consciousness, is through cultivating higher vibrations where you transcend your physicality, where you are able to imprint your intention and the intention reaches the universe, and then you become receptive to absorb that. That is how you set in motion the cycle of manifestation.
And actually, for a bookmark point here, for those who are listening, for those who are fans of the podcast or just listening to the podcast, please also refer back to Spiritual Food, where me and Francesca do speak about high vibration foods. We also talk about the high vibration diet, which assists exactly what we're going into today. Now, you touched on low vibration, and this is something that I know Francesca hates talking about negative things, but I think it's really important that when often we're low and we're seeing You Must Have Felt on the Beach, we want to, there's a saying, trust karma. And, there's also that belief that if someone does you harm, does you wrong, you want to get revenge. And there's a saying, karma is the best revenge. And just as you were saying that we have this ability to get back or get more than we believe, karma works the same way.
Yes, it does.
And it's almost, it's a bit of 50-50. Like, there's if you vibrate correctly, what you could ever do by the damage of your hand is going to be half of what karma will ever do, because you can guarantee if that person's energy is against your vibration, they're on a low vibration, they're going to be doing this to other people. So the level of karma that often they'll receive is higher than you can ever do. And we don't wish anyone ill, obviously, do we?
No, absolutely. See, we don't wish anyone ill, and that's the entire essence of spiritual growth and evolution, is how you break free from the feelings and vibration of vengeance, revenge, which is very natural. It's very natural to be possessed with those feelings when you have been wronged, when you have been inflicted immeasurable pain from someone's ignorance and unconsciousness, and it's human instinct to expect wrong or bad for them.
Yes, you said something really important, Rohit, that we expect the others to give us a certain energy, while we should, in this case, create a barrier, not to block them, but just to find our own self again, not becoming too attached to others' feelings, because only in this way we are able to help them also to spread good energies. Only if we create this barrier, not to get influenced by these low energies, for example. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely, and you couldn't have said it better. And that's quite a truth. That the key here is to not let yourself affected, influenced by such negative vibrations emerging from so many people who might not, be on the same plane of awareness as yourself. And that happens naturally as well. As you grow more aligned with the universe and the laws of the cosmos and the universal energy, you are essentially also immunizing yourself from such energies, because the more higher you become, your vibration is anyways getting higher and higher. So it becomes less susceptible to be influenced by lower vibration. Only the lower vibration beings can get affected by low vibrational beings more. As you grow higher, you're immunizing yourself.
So socializing is really important. Being individualistic is really important to understand who we are. But then socializing help us to, as you said, to train this muscle of reacting to others in a good way and receiving energies from others too. So would you say that socializing along the spiritual awakening is useful, Rohit, or no?
I would say it is useful in the it has its validity. However, the greatest validity in the spirit often in the spiritual growth and journey is socialization with our inner soul, our inner self.
Okay.
That is the greatest activity which needs to be done, and eventually everything has a purpose. You would in your own personal life would have experienced, and likewise Paris would concur with my thoughts here, that you might have marveled that whatever I have orchestrated and manifested in my present life, I'm enjoying it, but somewhere in my past that was orchestrated by some painful or some disappointing experience done by someone, but that led me towards this journey, right? So every role, every being who comes in your life has a role to play, and it's only the aware, as you grow more aware, you can connect the dots. As I said, this awareness of connecting the dots, looking back in life, and how every person is like a jigsaw puzzle. It's our job to put this missing pieces, disparate pieces together in a cohesive manner, so that we make sense of our present life, and accordingly we can plan, intend for our future. Because see, eventually we have to own that power. Power only lies within us. That's the core of spirituality and manifestation, that we have to own our power.
Exactly. That I think and something that you'll always notice in the podcast, that I always try and bring it back to bare roots, because what we want to do with this is help. By bringing in experts like yourself, we help the average person make the journey into spirituality so much more human. And so it's so easy for people in our position to say, harness your power, understand your strength, but understand that these are little steps. If you can vibrate on high frequency, high energy, so whatever environment you are in, you understand that you can get out of that environment. Whatever you are drowning in as a person, if you look to that, know that it's not going to last forever, that greater tomorrow. And it's things like that that's vibrating.
Well, absolutely, Paris, that we need to recognize, and I wish that's my mission in this life of mine, to awaken millions and millions in the world to awaken to their inner power. Every one of us has a seed of indescribable power. We all carry the spark of the divine, and the divine owes its existence to our ability to perceive the universe. So essentially, the universe exists because of our existence. So the universe owes its consciousness to our consciousness. So we need to be aware of the fact that we are extremely powerful. And there's a purpose why we have been brought to this level of plane of awareness, to live out our life, to awaken to a higher purpose, to awaken to our power, to awaken to the kingdom of heaven, which Jesus esoterically mentions the kingdom of heaven lies within you. And it's actually quite true. The kingdom of heaven actually lies within us. We have everything in us, using which we can harness and manifest anything which we want in our life. We can literally manifest anything. There are no limits to our imagination, to what we can manifest.
To manifest our intentions is an important step to realize our dreams. But how can we let ourselves embrace the need to dream and drift without sabotaging our real circumstances? Because it is easy to sabotage our reality, thinking of our dreams. So how can we really let ourselves embrace the need to dream without sabotaging our reality?
Yes. So cultivating that level of belief is a daily endeavor. We have to be very diligent and persistent in cultivating that intention and belief to such a degree that it seeps down in the depths of a subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is a conduit to the super consciousness, to the universal field. And we can achieve that through harnessing the power of meditation, to go deeper into our subconscious mind and plant those empowering visions and intentions which we have for our life. And that has to be, as I said, this process has to be undertaken by anyone, by all of us on a daily basis. We can't just go and have these intention few days in a month and then we go about our life. We sabotage our intention by self-pity, by embroiling ourselves in mundane concerns of our life and lower vibrational experiences. So then that's the way how usually people sabotage it. So as a daily exercise, what I propose and advocate people is when you wake up and before you go to the bed, you have to really bookend your life, your waking hours. When you wake up and before you go to bed, you have to set your intention. And you set your intention, and there's a reason why. When you wake up, you are essentially still fresh from rejuvenating yourself from the lap of the universe. You're still carrying that vibration of God or universe, right? So that is the best time to set intention. And just prior to when you go to bed, you're falling asleep. You're halfway through immersing yourself in the lap of the God or universe or universal field. So that's when you have this intention and you go to sleep. That's a quick way. However, as I said, it sounds very easy, but most of us get it wrong because we are not very diligent. We are not even diligent with our intention and dreams. We just want shortcuts, and that's where people get it all wrong.
Particularly this generation now, they want the instant satisfaction. So that's why the success of Uber, the success of digital currency, the success of digital apps, because we have become almost numb to the concept of working on something for a long time. Without realizing, take away your concept of time and focus on the everyday of what you truly want.
Yes.
It will beat the shortcuts that you're trying to create.
No, absolutely. That is the shortcut.
Yeah.
Doing work at your vision, at your dream every day. 2 years down the line, you would be astonished to see the progress you have made. That's how it works. There's a saying, Lao Tzu says, the journey to 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We have to take a single step every single day.
Also, regarding manifesting the intentions, it's important to realize that the power of the soul is an immense power. The soul is human consciousness and freedom. So would you say that it's important to feed our soul with passion, creativity, and good thoughts, good energies to really create a strength behind our intentions?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, Francisca. I completely and profoundly agree with your views here. Our soul is the individual spirit in each of our beings on this world carries the spark of God, the universe. By virtue of that, we are immeasurably powerful. We are as powerful as the universe.
Yeah.
And how to activate the power of our soul. That is the key behind manifesting our desires and vision. The way to activate the power of our soul is to disassociate ourselves from our mind, from the trap of law of karma. Law of karma only operates to a point, to such a degree, to the degree you are attached with your mind. The more you are attached and led by your mind and low vibration, the more the propensity of law of karma becomes to operate in your life. The more you transcend your mind and physicality and attune yourself with your soul, you really accelerate your manifestation process because you are attuning and aligning yourself more and more with the universe to a point when you experience just being effortlessly pulled by the forces towards your goal.
Yes, and I think people lack of intentions because maybe they do not spend enough time in order to explore their heart's pleasures and passions. And it's very important to understand that our intentions come from our desires. People sometimes they don't have desires; they lose their thrive and their desires because they don't have any passion. So to create your intentions, we must be and we must do what we like doing.
Quite true, Francisca. And why people lose interest in their passion and they get very fragmented in their life is because they might have some very deep passion while they were growing up. But just the fact that they were not very spiritual, and the law of karma got activated. Many, often happens that much in their life gets fragmented due to experiences, pain, trauma. Many things happen in their life which literally, you know, pushes them away, more and more away from their passions and the joyful pursuits, because their intention and their focus then becomes to heal themselves, to protect themselves. Now, if you are in it, if you are recuperating from a traumatic experience, our focus becomes to heal ourselves. Then usually people don't usually become more focused on their vision, on their desires. So, as I said, I always say that awaken to a purpose. The only way to awaken to a purpose is to have those intentions and spend time with yourself in solitude. Take out 30 minutes to 45 minutes every day and meditate. Be with yourself. Just be with yourself. Try to calm down your mind. Try to calm down and create spaces in your mind. That's where meditation is the only most powerful, effective way to help you really determine and distill down to your purpose. Because usually most of humans on this world are leading a very fragmented life. And a fragmented life is a consequence of their fragmented mind. A fragmented mind is essentially defined by a mind which is led astray by many competing thoughts. There's so many thoughts going in their mind, some financial issues, some personal problems, some friend did something, someone said something, then there's so much negativity which is being spewed out from social media, from the news reels. There's so much chaos happening around, and usually people are very susceptible to get drawn into that chaos, and that chaos then takes root in their mind. And a chaotic mind is the biggest obstacle to really manifest what you want, because you have to have a coherent vision, a coherent intention. That's the prerequisite before you even begin the manifestation process.
So powerful what you say. I wish we could all manifest our intentions in an easy way, but the techniques you just mentioned, Rohit, are very useful, and people should really focus on switching their mind and heart, manifesting their intentions, because once maybe you start, it's easier, or it is a process that has to be care of every day. It's a never-ending process. What would you say, Rohit?
Oh, absolutely. It's an everyday process. And the beauty of it is, as you experience more alignment with the universe, as you feel more, as you experience a flow towards your goals, that process will accelerate by itself. You won't then have to make an effort. It will happen through you. So the key of manifestation is to unlock that process where things start happening on its own, and you then become a medium. That's actually what I'm saying is actually very deep, and has been referred to very esoterically by many spiritual masters and traditions, because that's the golden key. Once you unlock the lock using this key, then there's no stopping you, because once you have unlocked that, then you're allowing the universal forces to work through you. Then there's no stopping you.
So communication is with action, with words, communicating our intentions, help to unlock this lock that is the key. Thank you, Rohit.
Yes, it is. It is.
And that's exactly it. It takes us to a stage and you understand these valuable points, that really the block between you and what you intend to do, your intention is you. And of course, we're thrown all these challenges in life, but as Rohit's saying, and as he's established in the most ancient form, they have been established that anything is achievable as long as you've got it.
As long as you get it, as long as you cultivate a focused determination and intention, and as long as you have really allowed that vision to take root in your subconscious self. And as I said, I always say the subconscious mind is the conduit and connection with universal forces. That's how it is. The more we transcend our low vibrational existence, the more we transcend the law of karma. The more we transcend them, the more we align ourselves with the universe. The more we align with the universe, what we then think is what universe thinks, because we are becoming more and more one with the universe. So our will then becomes the will of the God or the will of the universe. And the will of the universe will then inevitably manifest.
In fact, intuition is about focusing on the how rather than on the what for our growth, which is I always keep this in mind.
Absolutely. So intuition, you raise a very important point around intuition. See, intuition is essentially you're following the tuition of your inner self. You're allowing your inner self to tutor you, to guide you, to inform you. And that's the key. So the powers of intuition, clairvoyance, telepathy, these are flowering of your alignment with the universe. As I said, you become more intuitive or more clairvoyant the more you learn to transcend your physicality. The more you transcend your physicality, you become one in one with the universe. And then you are able to intuit, you're able to see beyond what your senses usually sees and perceives. That's how it works. That's how you meet people. I know my living master who can look at you and say everything about you, your past, present, and future, flashes in his vision. How does it happen? It happens because as you have awakened and embodied your higher vibration existence, which is more aligned with the universe, then your senses perceive is limited by the limits imposed upon our senses by our physical senses. So it's a very simple analogy. It might sound very cheesy, but I always say that, for instance, an owl or a dog an owl can see much more than what you can see. But does it mean that what you see is the only truth? But an owl can see in the night what we can never see. A dog can sniff what we can never smell. So what is the barometer of truth here?
So the more we align with the universe, with our purpose, the real one, the more our senses awake and they develop. So our intuition
is allowing the universe to guide you, inform you. And that can only happen to a degree when you don't become an obstacle to that process. The more we recalibrate our awareness from a mind to a heart, and heart, I say heart because the heart is the seat of the soul. And the soul is always connected with the universe. So the more we recalibrate our awareness back to a heart from the mind, we grow more attuned and more intuitive.
The power of their own intuition. People feel intuition every day and they say, oh, my gut says I shouldn't go that way. That's that little voice in your head that says, cross the road when you feel it, or take this different direction. And you can build your strength of intuition by practicing it, by relying on it. And so many people say, oh, common sense, I better not. Your common sense is your human thought. But intuition, that's your spirituality screaming at you.
Yeah, because the vibration from the source of creation is always there around the universe. It's there. It's only up to us to grow up to that level to able to absorb that information. The information exists as you speak, as you're sitting, you over there in a sofa, and Francisca, and myself. That intelligence is permeating as we speak around us. It's just about being able to tap into that information. Right? So those nudges or those hunches happen when you are not yourself, when you're not your mind, and that this information just comes through you and penetrates through the barrier of your mind. And that's how, the more you practice, the more you align with those hunches and nudges from the universe, and the more it gives you. It doesn't give you more. It has already given you. It just, you become more attuned.
And that's the thing. And I think people are too scared of the result of that hunch, and you have to take that away, because it's the butterfly effect, and that is what we are in, that we are a result of our decisions, and we need to take the preconceived notion that it's and that's really what anxiety is. If I do this, I don't know what's going to happen. We never know, but all we can do is take, as you say, there's a gift from the universe that's advising you what to do. But people have to work that muscle and treat it like a muscle. Understand that intuition is actually going to take you farther than any brain decision.
Oh, absolutely. And you have raised a very important point and a very pertinent point. The more usually the anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, hypervigilance. These are all symptoms of trauma, also, traumatic experience which someone would have undergone. And what it really hijacks your spiritual growth, simply because it makes you more stuck in your mind. You become more anxious, you become more stuck in your mind. The more you stuck in your mind, you're living a more lower vibrational life.
Yes.
And it's not a statement against those individuals, because spirituality teaches you compassion. And it's not a statement against those individuals because it happens to them. It's very natural to be stuck in your mind, because you have been dealt a severe, painful blow. And it's very natural to really go within and heal yourself. However, those painful experiences also conceals within itself the greatest potential for awakening and transformation. And that's how I view it as a process of transmutation, because my awakening and me being able to internalize and awaken to these very wisdoms was essentially facilitated and precipitated by a very painful experience in my life. And looking back, I'm quite grateful, even though when I was undergoing that experience, I was literally, I can't even explain the nights I spent in cries and tears and pain. But that was all part of my journey, and not saying that that is for everyone, because everyone has a different journey.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So practicing is very important, and we should look back at the sufferance with another perspective, and we should remind ourselves of what we want, that actually will help us reach our desires, not looking only back, but looking in the present, desiring our future. Right, Rohit?
No, absolutely, and that's the purpose of our existence, is to bring to life our vision, awaken to a higher divine purpose. Otherwise, it would be such a criminal injustice, to the existence, for having lived a life which doesn't do justice to our potential. What purpose would it serve to the universe? What purpose would it serve to our existence? And the universe gave, it's such a blessing to be alive. And that's something which we really need to be aware of, that it's an incredible blessing. And we have within ourselves the power to break free from the trap of our pain, suffering, the law of karma, and really break free from those chains to manifest what we really desire and really awaken to the kingdom of heaven, which is within us.
As they say, in the lesson was a blessing.
Oh, yes. Lesson is always a blessing, Paris. Uh, and every lesson, as I said, every experience carries within itself a seed of awakening and aligning with the universe. That's how I perceive every experience. Every experience in this universe has this purpose, the purpose of awakening, because we are always existing in the lap of God or the lap of universe. And we are here. There is a reason why we are here. Our existence is not meaningless. There's a purpose.
Right.
We are not living a meaningless existence. The universe cannot be meaningless, cannot be unintelligent. An unintelligent universe cannot give birth to intelligent, conscious beings.
Right.
We cannot be conscious and expect the universe to be not conscious. We cannot be intelligent but expect the universe to be not intelligent.
Right.
We cannot operate and live by certain laws in our life and expect the universe is not governed by a law. It would be quite counterintuitive, and I would say stupid and idiotic to believe this. And unfortunately, many people believe this because they're so much stuck in their ego and they're so much in ignorance that they believe themselves to be conscious and intelligent, but they somehow believe that they are separated from the universe. But they don't realize they are always existing in the lap of universe. We are born in the lap of universe. We sustain our life and live out our life in the lap of universe, and eventually we die and dissolve ourselves in the lap of the universe. So we are always in the universe.
And so I would say also regarding the awakening, the sooner we make choices, the sooner we make adjustments. So we shouldn't get stuck in our past sufferings and problems, like Rohit said.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The change can begin now at this very moment.
Yeah.
The path to your greatness and glory and awakening to your highest treasures and the highest and manifesting your highest vision can start right now at this very moment. We should not postpone anymore towards embarking upon this journey, the journey for which we have all been given this blessing of life. There's a purpose behind each one of our life. There's a purpose which is awaiting to be expressed through each and every one of us. And this is what I would advise and request all the listeners to this podcast is the suffering doesn't define you. No matter what you underwent, the pain, the trauma, even though that was real and the pain which you went through was real, and even if the pain you're going through is real, however, that doesn't define you. What defines you is your everlasting blissful nature. What defines you is your inner consciousness, which is all powerful. That is your true definition. Your definition is glory, grandeur, expansion, super consciousness, and bliss. That is what every one of us is blessed with, and it's important that each one of us reclaims that right, reclaims that blessing, which is always within us.
And if you ever feel lost, please read the amazing quotes from Rohit's page, which I find so powerful. Every time I look at them, they awake something within me. So I think reading at beautiful quotes like Rohit always publishes is an amazing idea.
Thank you so much, Francisca. That's very lovely of you.
No, they're amazing. So, as always, Francesca says, closing statements. What are we doing? What's the plan?
Yeah.
So my final words and statement here would be that there is a reason why this this podcast or this moment in space and time is being currently broadcasted to your audience and the world at large. And there's a reason why we are discussing upon this very important topic of manifestation and alignment with the universe, is because it is meant to be this way. And I say this with all my conviction because everything in my life which has happened and transpired, looking back, has had a very deep reasons. And as I've said just a short while ago, we we are all blessed and endowed with incredible powers, the powers which are blessed within us by the universe itself. And as I said, we are never separate from the universe, and we are never alienated or forsaken by the universe. Even though we might have felt and experienced not being able to manifest and materialize our desires, we might have undergone traumatic experiences in our life, we might have gone through a lot of suffering. However, that suffering, that pain really doesn't define us. What really defines us is our inner child, our inner heart, which is ever blissful, which is always joyful, which is always very grateful. And the purpose of spirituality and spiritual journey is to awaken that inner child, to awaken that heart, to align ourselves more and more with our soul, which is throbbing within us every moment. Masters, Jesus and Buddha, many masters have said that you have to become a child. Jesus alluded to this that said, kingdom will only belong to them who become children. It's not becoming children in physical age. It's becoming children from this realm of consciousness. And what are the values and attributes which we associate with a child is innocence, purity, wonder, gratitude, love, joy, bliss. So these are the attributes which each one of us has to cultivate. And the more we cultivate these attributes and values and emotions and vibration, we transcend our mind. We grow more aligned and rooted in our heart. The more we become rooted in our heart, the more our vision and our intention magnetize themselves with the power of the universe. And the more it becomes powerful, the manifestation process gets underway and the manifestation becomes very effortless. And then you are simply a medium. You feel being led by the universe towards your goal. And I would say that's the sum total of life. You have to experience the power. You have to experience what you have. You have to experience the joy, the juice of God, which is flowing inside every one of us. That's the purpose of our existence. If we are not experiencing that, if we haven't experienced that, and if we leave this life without experiencing that, then it would be a waste. Then we would have to get reborn with again cards which are again dealt, which are not so easy and good, and we again have to restart the journey from scratch. So it's important that we really awaken to our power, cultivate a coherent vision, not let ourselves defined by a pain and suffering of our past, vow to ourselves that we must transcend our mind in pain and awaken to the infinite blessings and the power which lie within us. And everything what we desire is for us to manifest, and nothing is impossible. Everything can be achieved, and everything must be achieved what we desire.
Thank you, Rohit. Yes, to finish, before, of course, my beloved Paris is going to tell her thoughts, I'm going to follow what you said, and living, honoring who we are and where we stand, instead of doing things as they are expected from the culture or the society. It's our life, not others' one life. So believe in your values, follow your desires, get to know who you are.
Yes, absolutely.
And exactly that. And what's amazing, we say exactly what you said about the kingdom of heaven and the child of state almost every week on the podcast. So it's beautiful. But my thoughts is that, the power is within you, and you have the ability to do absolutely anything, but you just have to believe it enough.
Absolutely. There's no limits.
No limits. We love it.
Wonderful. Well, this has been episode 11 of Wellness and Wonder. Thank you so much, Rohit, for your time, for your energy, for your blessings.
Thank
Please,
you,
everybody, go
my
for
pleasure.
Rohit.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Grateful and lovely talking to you, beautiful souls, and great. Godspeed to you, doing an incredible job, incredible work. And it's an honor.
It was an honor for us too, Rohit. Your words are going to be impressed in our heart and mind for a long time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And do remember to subscribe, share, follow us all places you find podcasts. Thank you so much. Super.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Francis. And thank you for listening in. Take care.
Bye.
Manifest what you want. Bye.
Bye.